The future of Spider-Man with Marvel Studios and Sony is highly debated among fans, and it looks like with the studios themselves as well. And of course, caught in the middle of all of this are the stars themselves. So now we hear from Zendaya, the co-star of Marvel Studios' upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home, and she is not sure about her future beyond the third film. So this interview comes at us from the Daily Pop as part of Is that a thing? What does that mean? Anyways, yes, they got to interview the co-star and ask her about her journey so far with Marvel Studios and Sony, where she talks about the obvious thing that most people are going to say, being grateful for being given the chance, how much she loves her co-stars, how much she loves this universe, the characters, and what they've been able to do. And then she touches upon a little bit about her future with Spider-Man specifically and how it involves Marvel Studios and her future appearances. And she says that despite the fact that, they feel very close to each other and all grew up together, it's bittersweet. And she doesn't know if they're going to do another one together, because nobody's told her or anybody involved. Nobody knows anything about it, and as far as she knows, this third film is it. This is the final time they will all be together. Now, you can look at this in multiple ways, which people have. Is she lying? Possibly. I don't think so. I honestly do not think there is currently a plan for more Spider-Man beyond just Tom Holland's leftover appearance for the MCU and whatever Sony might be doing on their own that does not involve Marvel Studios, because we know they can. They can develop a Spider-Man project on their own that stars Tom Holland, but it can't connect to the MCU, or they can pretend to connect to it, but the MCU will never acknowledge it. Look at the other stuff they're doing. They're playing very loose with it. And I 100% believe that she doesn't know, because they're not going to reveal anything, because we've seen that these studios are playing friendly with each other for profits, and that's really it. That's what it comes down to. And sooner or later, Sony's going to want to take their property back. And we see the type of deals they're working on. And what happens with many of these remains to be seen, because as we know, if, let's say, Sony decides to pull Spider-Man from the MCU fully, and they use Tom Holland as Spider-Man in their Venomverse, they don't have ownership of any of the other characters. They can't use Ned because he's an MCU creation. No using MJ because she's an MCU creation. So they would have to do something completely different. So maybe it's the end of the road for most of the characters, just not Tom Holland, which will be interesting. But again, we have to see how things play out in the multiverse films to know kind of the more grandiose scope. But she definitely seems to be under the impression that, yeah, her future is done after the third film.